Okay, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, students.
Waalaikumsalam, Doktor.
Yeah, can you all share your video? I see no one here. It's all empty. Yeah.
Afternoon, madam.
Yeah. Can you share your video? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Two of them. Just to know that you're following the class. Not someone else is using your phone or maybe your online learning. Okay. Okay. So we have learned, the previous lecture we have learned the law on the employment law and also the industrial relation law. There's a two division. Okay, that means you know what the related law for Employment Act, okay, and also for Industrial Relation Act. Okay, so now you are also exposed to the duties of employer and employee. Okay, the main duties. Okay, I'm not sure you have Google for any other duties or not. Then we have looked into the jurisdiction of industrial court. Okay, because industrial court is a special court. Okay, it's a tribunal, only deals with employment and industrial relation matters. Okay, then for the previous class, okay, I have also let you all know who is employee and who is employer. Okay, so you just know the definition. Okay, so for today's class, you will look at the test. What are the tests that you have to use to determine whether a person is employee or not. Okay. Okay, so we'll look at the contract of employment today. Okay, so what is important is that you must be in contract of service. So contract of service is an agreement, whether oral or in writing. So oral means verbally, writing means is stated. Okay, you got a document made between you and your employer. Okay, whether it's express or implied. Okay, so express means is also considered as expressly stated. Can be in writing or it can be in document or it can be in WhatsApp, okay, or it can be email, okay. And implied is that is not cannot be seen anywhere, but is implied by conduct. Okay, so the agreement is whereby one person agrees to employ another. Okay, another person is an employee. Okay, and he agrees to serve his employer. Okay, that means the person who is an employee agrees to serve his employer. That means he agreed to work for his employer, and it also include the apprenticeship contract. That means the contract for training. Sometimes you go for training only. Okay, but if you are doing training, let's say for 3 months, 6 months, you are still considered as an employee. Okay. So we have tests. So the contract of service look very easy. Okay, that means if you are given a letter, appointment letter saying that you are an employee, okay, is it true that you are an employee in the eyes of the law? Okay, it's not that easy. So you have to look at tests, a few tests to determine whether a person is employed by an employer is really an employee under the law. Okay, so we got 4 tests. Okay, first is control test. This test is traditional test. Control test is traditional test. Then second is interpretation and organization test. Then entrepreneur test, and also composite test. Okay, so the control test until now it remains with the same name. By integration, organization, entrepreneur test, and composite test, sometimes you can see the author change the name with economic test, realty test. Okay, so it's where the author give a different name. Okay, so we look at the test here. Okay, first test is the control test from one English case, old case. In this case, that's Stevenson Jordan versus Harrison. And Harrison Limited versus McDonald and Evans. Okay, so in this case, Lord Denning, LD is Lord. Okay, Lord Denning says that this case raises the troublesome uh, question on the distinction between contract of service and also contract for service. Okay, so the test usually applied is whether the employee has the right to control the manner of doing the work. Okay, so here when you mention the name of the test is look very simple to understand or easy to understand. The employer has the right to control the manner of doing the work. Okay, whose work? The employee's work. Okay, that means the employer must control or he has the right to control the way the employee does the work. Okay, so it's very simple. Okay, so the employer have the right to control the employee from doing the work. Okay, so how does an employee normally control an employee? Okay, how does an employer control an employee? How? How do you think an employee are controlled by an employer?
Like the method of doing things.
Okay, the method of doing things. Okay, so the way that you will be doing things. Okay, so any other way? The method? Peterus Gibson.
Yes, madam.
Yes, how?
Um,
Beside the way you can control, okay, if you have working experience, you know your employer can control you, the way that you have to do the work. Beside that, what else he can control? He can control the time, you know, what time to work. Maybe from, let's say, from 8 to 5, okay? It is also a way that the employer can control you, okay? And then when to complete the work. Okay, let's say he give you a project, so you're supposed to complete the work within 1 month or 3 days or 1 week. So control can be done in many ways. Okay, so here the case says that the control power, okay, includes the thing to be done. Okay, what things to be done? Okay, let's say you have to repair something, or you have to like build something. Okay, the things that you're supposed to do, the way in which it shall be done. The way, that means there's a certain procedure that you have to follow. You cannot simply do a thing without let's say you have to get a certification, so you must follow the procedure. Okay, the way the work should be done, the means to be employed in doing it. Okay, the means also the way that it should be done. Okay, the time and the place where it shall be done. Okay, sometimes your work is not at the office. It can be outside the office. Today you have to go for meeting, so it will be somewhere else. Okay, so the place where it shall be done. Okay, so control tests include all these. Okay, you can see what are the elements or what are the things affected in control tests. Okay, so you can use this to determine whether a person has been controlled by an employer. So if it's been controlled by an employer, that means that person is an employee under the eyes of the law. Okay, so now we look before that. Okay, so the case, the English, another English case says that okay, um, this is the quotation: the master of a ship may be employed, and the owner can tell him where to go, but he has no power to tell how to navigate the ship. Okay, so according to Cassidy's case, he commented the first case. He comment on the first case that saying that the test is not suitable for professional workers. Okay, because the professional workers, like he give an example, the master of a ship, the captain, you can employ a captain for the ship, but you cannot tell him, okay, where to go, because you cannot control the navigation power. That means how to navigate a ship, because they are expert. They know how to control the ship when there's a storm, when there's a wind. Okay, so it's not a suitable test for professional workers. So professional workers can be like footballers. Okay, so can footballers be an employee? Okay, so you must look at the test to determine whether a footballer can be an employee, maybe an engineer can be an employee, whether a doctor can be employee, because you can employ them, but you cannot tell them how to do the work. The operation of a doctor is appointed by a let's say a medical center. Okay, is the doctor an employee of the an employee of the medical center? Okay, because you cannot tell the doctor how to operate, because the doctor is an expert and he knows how to handle the patient and how to make the operation. Okay, so the control test is been criticized by Cassidy versus Minister of Health. Okay, so we look at another test. Okay, so another test came. That is integration and organization test. This is where because of the industrial at the time, okay, it's coming up, okay, and they introduce another test. Okay, at most many people are employed, and they say this test is the better test than the control test. So this test emphasize on the work of person being an integral as part and parcel of the organization. Okay, so you must be part and parcel. That means you are you belong to the organization. It means like that. Okay, if a person is part and parcel of the organization, what he does certainly must certainly be integral and not accessory to the business. Okay, so he said, so we look at this test, how these tests will apply, saying that a person must be part and parcel of the organization. Okay, so if you here, if a person is part and parcel of the organization, what he does must certainly be integral and not accessory. And that means you are not just to make the business look nice. You are not accessory to the business. Okay, so the integration set to ascertain if worker is part and parcel of the organization. Okay, so this test is where it looks at the business of the employer. Okay, and you can ask the question whether the worker economically dependent on the company or not, or the worker activities are essential component of the business. Okay, so you can ask a question to determine whether a person is an employee or not. Okay, Okay, so here we look at one of our Malaysian case here, okay, where it's important to decide whether a person, okay, is an employee or not, okay. So in this case, okay, the federal court found that the sales assistant, the sales assistant, that means when you go to what you call shops, okay, they have that somebody there to help you. Okay, so the sales assistant is one who conduct and manage the business of MS Ali and the company. Okay, and they were rewarded with share of the profit of the company. Okay, this means that the company have sufficient control of the working assistant or the sales assistant. Okay, so the sales assistant is the one who conduct and manage the business. Okay, so they have something to do with the company. They are part and parcel of the company. Okay, so this the okay, yeah, okay. So the case says that the sales assistant was employed by the shop manager, and the manager were given the power or right by the company to employ workers to assist in the daily course of business. So therefore, the shop assistant is the employee of the manager, and is the manager who is responsible to pay for the EPF under the EPF ordinance. Okay, so if you're an employee, so the employer have the obligation. Okay, so the duties that we have seen earlier is related to the test also. So if you're an employee and you are under the contract of service test, you are an employee, then your employer is liable to make contribution to the EPF. So EPF is employees provident fund payment. Okay, so this is the second test. Okay, now we look at the third test. Okay, the third test is entrepreneur test or economic reality test. Okay, so you can see a different name is also been given for this test. And the English case is market investigation limited versus Ministry of Social Security. Okay, so in this case, how are you going to use is that is the person who has engaged himself to perform these services, performing them as person in business on his own account. Okay, so you again ask a question, whose business is it? Okay, so if the answer is no for the first question, then contract is a contract of service. Okay, the contract. So she's actually not doing the business as though the business is his business, because the business belongs to another person and he is only an employee. Okay. So how do you determine? So it's very difficult also to know whether whose business is it. Okay, so there are factors that you can use here to determine, to know whose business is it. First, he said there must be some control. Okay, control is there, but control is not the determining sole factor. Okay, it's not the important factor there. Okay, other factors are such as whether the man performing the service provides his own equipment or not. Okay, whether he have to have his own tool, whether he hires his own helpers, that means his own assistant or not. Okay, then what degree of financial risk he take, whether he have to bear the risk for profit sharing. Okay, and what degree of responsibility for investment and management he has, and also whether and how far he has an opportunity of profiting. Okay, so you must answer all these questions to know whose business is it. Okay, and we got Okay, so um, okay, our Malaysian case. Okay, so in our Malaysian case, so after studying three three tests, I already informed you about three tests. A control test is very easy test to know. You can an employee is been controlled in many ways. Okay, but in which way are you going to or which of the tests are you going to use to determine whether a person is an employee or not is quite okay. In this case, Casio Malaysia Sdn Bhd versus Wahab Tuan Idris case, 2001. The test was applied by considering the question whose business is it by examining the following factors. Okay, so the court here used whose business, I want to know whose business is it, the entrepreneur test. Okay, first the court look at the control. Who has the control, okay, on the employee, okay? The ownership of the tool, okay? So who owns the equipment of the company or the shop, okay, or the business, okay? Does the individual have a chance of profit, and who bears the risk of loss? Only 4 question was asked in this case. But if you look at the previous, the original case, there's so many things that the court will have to consider. But our Malaysian case just look at the 4 um, elements or 4 factors only. Okay. Okay, so far can you understand? Nor Shafika?
Madam,
Is it difficult
this
to understand?
I think this test is very difficult to understand.
Yeah, the control test is easy, okay? The second one, entrepreneur test, this is also easy, like you're going to ask whose business is it. Of course, when it is if it is your business, do you think you are an employee?
No.
So you I mean, you can foresee what's the answer. If it's your business, of course, you are not the employee, because here, okay, how are you going to determine whether it's your business or not? Okay, beside the control, there will be some element of control. Okay, do you have your own helper? Are you involved in the financial risk? Okay, are you responsible for the investment? Okay, are you do you have any opportunity for a forfeit? Okay, if you can answer all these, let's say you got a helper, okay, that means you are not the owner, you are just an employee. Are you involved in the risk? Of course, an employee, you are not involved in the risk, okay, financial risk. Okay, as an employee, are you involved in the investment? Are you involved in the management? Sorry, in the investment and management? As an employee, are you involved? No, I don't think so. An employee are asked to invest in the company or in the business. Normally, they are. I mean, they are just an employee. They do not have to involve themselves in the investment. Okay, the company is the one who, or the board of director is the one who will decide on the investment. Okay, and they are not bothered. As an employee, you are not bothered whether you have the opportunity of getting profit from the company, like the shares of the company. You are not bothered because you are paid monthly or you are paid salary every month. Okay, so this is the a test which we call economic reality test or entrepreneur test. Okay, so control test is easy. Okay, and then entrepreneur test is also easy. So what is a bit difficult is whether you are part and parcel of the organization. That is the organization test. The second test that I let you know just now. Okay, organization test. That means you must be part and parcel of the organization. Okay, and then the question the court will look is that whether the employee or the workman economically dependent on the company or not. Okay, or are the workers' activity an essential component of the business? Okay, so this is quite difficult to answer. Okay, So the two tests is easier, okay, to understand. Okay, now we have the last test. Okay, the last test is composite test, or other name given is multiple tests. Composite means few. Multiple also means few. So different author use different name. Okay, so this test was introduced in in ready mixed concrete, where the court says that there's a three condition for existence of a of contract of service. There's a three condition if you want to know whether there's a contract of service or not. Okay. First is that the employee agrees to provide his own work and skill in the performance of a service for the employer. That means the employee works for the company, okay, which is skill, okay, for the employer, okay. And of course, there must be some element of control by the employer, okay. So the employer will control, but it's not 100%, okay. And the last one is where the other terms of the contract must not be inconsistent with the existence of a contract of employment. This is quite difficult. He says that other terms, so the two terms is here, okay, that these two is already fixed, but other terms that you want to say that it is in the contract of service, so it must not be contradict with the existence of a contract of employment. Okay, so uh, um, that means any other terms that you want to put in the contract between you and the employer, okay, must not be inconsistent. Inconsistent means not to contradict the existence of a contract of employment. Okay. So, any question on the last test here? Multiple tests.
Madam,
Yes.
can you briefly explain again about the inconsistent with the existence of contract?
Okay, inconsistent means it's very wide. Okay, like it can be any term. We just take one of the term that we already explained earlier. Inconsistent, that means not to contradict the contract of employment. Okay, let's say the employee. One of the terms says that the employer will pay a salary. The employee have to come to work from, let's say, 8 to 5. Okay, he must take, let's say, must take the lunch at the workplace. Okay, then okay, another term says that the employee must bring um, um, let's say the employee must bring their own equipment, okay, equipment to do work at the um, company or the place of work, okay. That means they must bring their own tool, okay. And then the fifth one says that the company will pay their salary based on share profit, profit sharing, okay. So you can see there's a two term here. One must bring their own equipment or their tools. Then the second one is that the salary depends on the profit of the company. Okay, so these two terms is actually inconsistent with the existence of a contract of employment. Okay, so so you must look at what are the terms in the contract of employment. Okay,
Okay, thank you, madam.
can I understand? What about the others? Amir Rahman, can you understand? Can I understand? Really, yeah. Okay, so topic 1 to 4 is for the mid exam. Okay, did I inform you you all the dates for the mid exam? Did I
Yes.
mention earlier during the class?
Yes, madam.
Already informed, huh? Okay. When is it actually? No, I'm sure. 16th of November. Okay. Please check the dates. Already informed. Yeah. One thing about the mid-exam. We just had a meeting. So can we start a bit early? Let's say 8 to 11. Previously, it was fixed from 9 to 12. Okay. In the meeting, and now we agreed. We got other 3 classes. Okay. We want to start the exam at 8 to 11. 3 hours for the mid examination. Okay. So you have to take note of the time. Okay. Our exam will start at 8 and complete at 11 o'clock. Okay. Did you get the message?
Yes,
Fidas?
madam.
Yes. Fidas Muhammad, are
Yes,
you there?
madam.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
So
doctor.
your exam will start at 8 to 11.
11, yes.
Yeah, 1 to topic 1 to 4. So this will be the last one. Okay, this topic will be the last one. Okay. So your topic is 1 to 4. Okay, and 5 to 6 will be for the quiz. Okay. On the assignment we have just completed, but the question must be reviewed, and the meeting is next month. So we cannot give you the question yet until it is approved in the meeting. Okay. So you concentrate on your mid exam and also on your quiz. Okay. So quiz will be after that. I think after the mid break. Okay. So any question that you want to ask? Yes. Someone taking lunch there. I can hear fork and the spoon. Any questions?
I think so far no.
Okay. So why is it important? Okay. Why is it important to know a person is an employee or not? Can anyone mention to me? Why is it important? Why is it important to know a person is an employee or not? Anyone? Yeah, I can see some answer there. But let me. Okay. Why is it important? Okay, I can give you a scenario here. Okay. Let's say, okay, I have employed a research assistant. Okay. The research assistant comes to work 8 o'clock and he can go back at 3 o'clock, let's say. Okay. So he's free to do his work. Research means he has to help me to complete my research. Okay. So he will come to my office, meet me and discuss what are the things to be done. Okay. So after the meeting, let's say 1 hour or maybe half an hour, he will go back, okay, to his own place. I do not provide any place or any office for him, okay, but I will pay him salary, 2,000 per month, okay, I have an agreement with him for 6 months, okay. 6 months, that means my agreement contract of employment is 6 months. The salary is 2,000, okay. And his work is to prepare and help me for the research, okay. So I don't provide any office for him, okay. Only that the meeting is in my room, okay. So one day, let's say after 2 months working with him, okay. So on the way back from UM, because my office is in UM, and on the way from after meeting me, okay, he went back to his place. Let's say he's rented house in Sinto, okay, somewhere near UM. He made an accident. Okay, he made an accident and he was injured. Okay, so um, he blamed me. Okay, and he says that um, I should be responsible for his injury, and he says that he wants to sue me because I'm his employer and he's entitled to get damages from me. Okay, so how are you going to settle this problem? Should I pay him? Hello?
I think we should not pay him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what test are you going to apply here? What test do you think is proper test, or you want to mix the test? And because there's 4 tests, we do not have any concrete answer, or there's case that decide that you must use only one test. Okay, so what test are you going to use to determine whether I should pay him or I'm liable to pay the compensation?
Integration and organization test.
Okay, so is he an employee? Okay, so it's not easy. Yes. Okay, so the court here will determine okay, which test should be used. So the court will look are there, let's say we take the multiple tests, okay, whether the employee agrees to provide his work and skill in the performance of service for the employer. Of course, yes. Is there some element of control? Okay, how what is the degree of control? How much I control him? The test also will look. The court also will look at the control test. Okay, here. Okay, then whether there's any other terms which is inconsistent in the contract of employment. Okay, so the court will look all the tests in detail to determine whether a person, okay, is an employee or not. If at the end I'm considered as an employer to that particular research assistant, then I have to pay a compensation for his injury. Okay. Same with the what do you call the Batas case. Okay. Okay. So if I'm an employer, okay, so I have to pay compensation. That's the duty. You have seen the duties of employer just now. Okay. I have to pay compensation for the injury. Okay. So what are the other duties that I have in our Malaysian law as an employer?
You should reward him with compensation.
Compensation, yes. Under EPF law, our Malaysian Employment Provident Fund or KWSP, I also have to pay him contribution every month. Okay. Under SOCSO, I have to pay him the insurance contribution every month. Okay. So these are the liabilities under our Malaysian law if you are an employee in the eyes of the law. Okay, so you must remember that it's not only paying salary, okay, but also other duties that we have under our Malaysian law. There's paying EPF, paying SOCSO, and then paying, to other matters which he is subject to pay. Okay, like providing safety workplace for the employee. Okay, so we got a lot of duties if you are an employee under the law. That means you are an employer for a particular person who is called as an employee. Okay. So did you read one article, okay, from a legal firm, Donovan, I think, that I'm already put in your online portal. Have you gone through the article? No one saw the article.
Not yet, madam.
Okay, so you can see how is it very it's very difficult to know whether a person is an employee or not. Okay, so I take a break for 5 minutes then I come back to you all. Okay, 5 minutes break please. Students, do you have any questions? Hello students, do you have any questions? No. Okay, if you do not have any questions, so this Thursday will be a public holiday. Okay, so I want you all to look for cases from the website. Okay, library website. You can get cases from the CLJ or MLJ. Okay, so I will post to the WhatsApp group afterwards. Then you look at the steps, okay, to get cases. I think you know your password to access to the library. Okay, do you know the password to access to the library? Okay, because I cannot give mine because mine is confidential. Okay, so students, you can use your own password to enter into the CLJ. Okay, so I think that's all for the class today. Okay, so I will send immediately how to get a case from e-resources under our library. Okay, so thank you very much, class. The article that I sent in the online portal. Okay. Okay.